Coming up on Network Africa, Ethiopia extends a nationwide state of emergency imposed in October. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations says that UN peacekeepers in the Democratic Republic of Congo are aiding the corrupt government. And nurseries in Uganda help farmers revive a once thriving coffee sector. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Temi Tokwe Fagbemi. Ethiopia has extended a nationwide state of emergency by 4 months. It was imposed in October in a bid to curb an unprecedented wave of anti-government protest. Defense Minister Siraj Fagesa says that the extension is needed because there are still some people who occasionally strive to disrupt peace and security. Ethiopia's parliament unanimously approved the extension and urged the security forces to avoid committing human rights violations. Opposition and rights groups have condemned the state of emergency, saying it is being used to crush legitimate dissent in the country. The ruling Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front has been in power since 1991. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, has accused UN peacekeepers in the Democratic Republic of Congo of aiding a government that is corrupt and preys on its citizens as negotiations for the mission's renewal continues. Ms. Haley's comments comes 2 days before the expiration of the mandate for the $1.2 billion mission in the Central African state known as MONUSCO. The Confidential Security Council negotiations on its renewal are taking place amid UN warnings that violence is spreading across the DR Congo ahead of planned elections before the end of this year.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, the government is corrupt and preys on its citizens. At the same time, the UN peacekeeping mission is mandated to partner with the government to consolidate peace and security. In other words, the UN is aiding a government that is inflicting predatory behavior against its own people. We should have the decency and common sense to end this.
The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, says some 27 million people in 4 famine-threatened countries are reliant on unsafe water, which can lead to fatal diarrheal diseases among already malnourished children. UNICEF also says competition for water among people and animals are being reinforced as a result of seasonal dry weather.
Water shortages, inadequate sanitation, poor hygiene practices, and disease outbreaks are posing an additional threat to severely malnourished children in northeast Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen. The fund projected that the number of people in need of water, sanitation, and hygiene in Somalia would increase from 3.3 million to 4.5 million in the coming weeks, with the country already recording 13,000 cases of cholera and acute watery diarrhea since the beginning of the year. Half of Sudan's water points have been damaged or destroyed, and UNICEF said competition for water among people and animals were being reinforced as a result of seasonal dry weather, with 5.1 million people lacking safe water and adequate sanitation. UNICEF cited the ongoing conflicts in Yemen as a cause for leaving at least 14.5 million people without adequate drinking water and basic sanitation and hygiene. Almost 2 million Yemeni children are at risk of diarrheal disease, which, even before the conflict, were the second leading cause of death among children under the age of 5. 75% of water and sanitation infrastructure in conflict-affected areas in northeast Nigeria have been damaged or destroyed, leaving 3.8 million people with no access to safe water. UNICEF stressed that its efforts to respond to the crisis would not be enough without an end to the conflicts plaguing these countries, sustainable and unimpeded access to the children in need of support, and more resources.
To environmental matters, the Ogun State government here in Nigeria has raised an alarm over what it describes as an impending flooding in various parts of the state if residents refuse to maintain a high level of environmental cleanliness. The State Commissioner for the Environment, Mr. Bolaji Oyeleye, listed Abeokuta, the state capital, Ewekoro, Ijebu-Igbo, Ijebu-Ode, Ikene and Ota as some of the areas that may be affected.
September 2016, a sad period for these Ogun State residents living in low-plain areas as they were sent packing from their homes to seek refuge with family and friends owing to the increased volume of water from the Ogun River. The major roads linking their communities were submerged, leaving residents at the mercy of these men who made quick business carrying them out of the area. To avert a repeat of such experience, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency in its 2017 seasonal rainfall prediction has announced the possibility of floods in many parts of the country, especially in the north and west.
The predicted length of growing season for Ogun State falls between 250 days and 287 days, while extended rain that will fall between 3 to 8 days are forecast for Adamawa, Ogun, Edo, and the Niger Delta areas, and low-lying areas such as Lagos State.
Also warning residents on the need to take special interest in their environment, the State Commissioner for Environment identifies indiscriminate dumping of refuse and blocking of drains as some of the acts which could aggravate the situation.
We expect our people not to block drainage channels, which usually collect, all this water. We should also refrain from dumping waste into drainage channels and river stream courses.
To reduce the impact of the looming floods, the State Emergency Management Agency has asked residents along the riverbanks to relocate.
Those living at riverbanks should take necessary measures or even evacuate so that when